Welcome back, CSE 3200 Yukon Stores. We are in Hello World. Last time was video 1, which really dealt with Chapter 11. Chapter 11 was about constraint view. Why I do that? Chapter 11 is kind of easy, kind of fun, and is a nice segue for the Android tour into how to begin with things. As we go on with Hello World, we're going to get more into Chapter 1. We're going to deal with wiring up views and setting up listeners and basically getting our code to work and behave and do stuff that wasn't by default. But let me show you some defaults. All right, so I just ran our code. It still has one error and it looks like 5 cautions. And we're going to deal with that error in this video. We will probably deal with the cautions in the next one. Down here, I don't see any errors. Okay, it ran. I don't see any errors. It hasn't crashed, and I don't think it's going to. And in my code, and I've only scrolled in my code so that you can see my face without code over it, at least for a little bit. I'll hide this. I don't see any red bars to say, here's where your error is. All right, but we'll come back to that error in a second. That'll be like the second of 2 objectives for this video. All right, I'm going to talk about the default behaviors or listeners for those widgets over there on the screen. So we're going to come over here to our emulator, and I've got these 3 widgets. I'm going to go to the text view first, and I'm going to try to interact with it. And I simply can't. I can't interact with it. It doesn't have any behaviors. It doesn't have any built-in listeners. The button does. So I'm going to click the button, and I didn't see anything. I'm going to click it again. Oh, this time I saw something. It was a little bit like an inside-out burst, okay? And every time I do this, you know, from one update to the next, the behavior is a little bit different. I'm sure programmers like to play. But it's got that default behavior. In other versions of a button, I can actually see that there's a behavior where it looks like it comes in and out with a little bit of a 3D effect. And that's probably what they're going to try to get across here. Maybe it looks better if it were bigger. I don't know. But it had a default behavior. And sometimes you might hear a sound for the click. Okay? But for me, I can really hear my real mouse click. So it's got some built-in behaviors, a listener. So now let's click on this edit text. And this time, and this is the first time, it's gone to the end of the E. Every other time I've clicked on it, maybe I clicked a little earlier and it clicked in front of the end. But as soon as it did, it immediately, without me doing anything else, moved right to where it is right now, right after the E. I can start typing. I'm using my keyboard. Oh, no space. All right, I'll use my mouse. I'll use the space on my keyboard once I take off its suggestions. All right, so I showed that I can use my keyboard on my laptop to see stuff, okay, to get a behavior. I can also use the built-in keyboard in the phone, which popped up with this particular widget, and I can make changes there. So all that stuff, I didn't code that. That was just built in, okay? Future video, we're going to make our own code for dealing with that. All right, it isn't like we want to rebuild the wheel or anything. It's just that oftentimes we need to capture something. We need something other than the default behavior. OK, next up, we're going to take a look at this error. Do I still have my device running? I do. I'm going to stop it and then hide it. OK, hover over the error, click on it, and I get this message that pops up. If this box doesn't pop up, click here. OK, it says edit text. The touch target size is too small. Touch target size is too small. This item's height is 45 dp. Consider making it the height of this touch target 48 dp or higher. OK, so now I know that the height has to be 48 dp or higher, and that it wasn't when it got created. Let's take a look at this guy here. All right, there isn't anything in here that gives me a font size. If I put in a font size, maybe I can fix this. And it turns out I can. All right, so off video I checked and I'm like, yeah, perfectly fine. I want to keep this fixed for a second. OK, so when I said put the text size in at 24 SP, that error is now gone. And I didn't follow the suggestion that they gave me. I was not given a text size. So there's a default to it, right? There was a default size of this box, a default size of the text view box, a default size of the button. All that came with defaults, even though it didn't give me this line of code which would allow me to change it. Like, it didn't put in whatever the default was, and I'm not going to play around with it to see if I can get that back. But I want to talk about SP and DP while I'm here. I talked about it in class. You need to know this. It'll definitely be on quizzes and exams, okay? Important. DP is density independent pixels, and SP is scale independent pixels. If I start to, let's go back to the number. Let's get an autocomplete. Look at some options that I have here. DP and SP, top and bottom. IN for inches, MM for millimeters, PT, I'm not even sure what that is. PX, pixels, don't use them, okay? They might work. I might get cautions, but they don't always work. They could cause crashes. They could never work. They could not be backwards compatible. Really, these guys, they're probably going to be gone in the future. Who knows? Maybe something completely different in the future. I can guarantee it, actually. But anyhow, the ones that we're going to use in the class, DP and SP. When to use which? SP is for font size, otherwise DP. Okay? SP for font size, scale independent pixels, DP otherwise. So setting something like my margin top and my margin start. Margins, by the way, you're going to see better in the blueprint, I would say. And let me take a look at that instead of looking forward. Yeah, I can see the 36 and the 56 right there, a little bit better than I can here. So that's not font size, but that's just, how far something is moved in this case. All right, so I fixed that. Let me click off of that. Well, not fixed now. Okay, let's put it back. 24 SP, and it's fixed. Now, let me actually show you how to fix it according to their hint. So I'm going to delete the text size that I just put in. I can go ahead and hide this stuff. The error's back. Yeah, no surprise. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here to layout height, and I'm going to make it go to autocomplete. Now, I'm not so sure I'm going to see anything new. Mistype. Equals, okay, keep saying wrap content, okay, but there are other options, such as match parent, all right? There's some others here, but they all said disabled. All right, take a look at what happens when I match parent. Okay, so match parent and wrap content are our two most common choices for our width and height of objects, okay? Match parent means make me as big as the parent was. Why didn't it go all the way to the top? Well, that's because I had an anchor set to the bottom of something that wasn't already to the top. So when playing around with layouts in my views, mixing and matching, concepts of how different things have worked over the years, I don't always get what I expect right away, and I have to play. I do that all the time. Okay, so make me as big as my parent. And remember that this is a widget. It's inside of my view. The view is the parent. The screen is the view, where the screen is where the view is contained, and the view is filling the entire screen. So just think of it as the screen borders act like my parent borders. So I want my height to be the same as my parent's height. It did as good as it could. Okay. So wrap content is make me as big as I need to be. So let me show you for emphasis. Let's see, let me put my text size back in. What did I have that as? Did I say 24 SP and it worked? It did. All right, now let me take that down quite a bit and take a look at the size. All right, so 12 SP, very small. All right, so when I do wrap content, that is make me as big as I need to be. Well, as far as a text box goes, it's really dependent on the size. Now, this had a default text size and it didn't tell me what it was. All right, so I could take that text size and I could change it to something larger to get rid of that error, or I could just come up here to the layout height and say, what did it want? 48 dp. All right, and that error has gone away. And that's where we're going to leave it on this video. See you next time.